What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, folks. And guess what? House GOP appoints MAGA loyalists linked to fake elector scheme to oversee national elections. That is right. And now we're going to get some whinging from the corporate press, right? These people are supposed to be unbiased. They're not supposed to pick sides. They're not supposed to be partisan at all. But, oh my goodness, wait till you hear some of the fear-mongering going on in this article specifically. Ground News lists the Daily Boulder as centrist, as unbiased. They're totally unbiased, y'all. But, let me tell you a little something about biases. Right off the top, I have my bias. Yes, that is right. Everybody has a bias. But the corporate press, they try to hide their bias. They try to obfuscate their partisanship. They try to come off as unbiased, and they are very biased. They manipulate everybody outright. And if you don't like being manipulated, do me a big, giant favor. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with anybody and everybody. And stay tuned, folks. Hit that notification bell. So every time I put out a video, you can get notified that, hey, there's another corporate press manipulation that has been found and brought to light. So we can share to everybody to maybe get some of these people out of the echo chamber of the corporate press garbage that they're living in, and get them out of that to see what is actually going on with these people. But let's get into the story right quick. But y'all do me that favor. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. And let me know what you think. Do I have an ugly face? Let me know down in the comment section. In a significant move, House Republicans have appointed at least 2 former Trump campaign officials involved in the 2020 fake elector scheme to key roles overseeing national elections. Oh, that's so freaking hilarious. Oh, they were involved in the fake elector scheme, y'all. This development comes as the GOP-led Committee on House Administration prepares for its pivotal responsibilities in the upcoming 2024 election cycle. The committee's hires underscore a troubling overlap between the individuals associated with Trump's efforts to contest the 2020 election and those now shaping election oversight on Capitol Hill. With Congress set to reconvene in November, these appointments may lay the groundwork for a concerted campaign to challenge election outcomes should the GOP face setbacks in the upcoming elections. There you go, they're laying the groundwork to... Of course, there's always challenges to the elections. Every single election. These people just last election cycle just so happened to act all surprised that Donald Trump was challenging the election, that he actually saw some fraud and was like, hang on, I'm going to challenge this, acting like that's so absurd to do. Oh, he's such a tyrant, he's such a fascist for doing so, even though they do that every single election cycle. It's absurd on its face, but that's what these people are trying to make you believe. That this is insane. Oh, they're going to challenge the election. They're going to challenge the results. As if nobody's going to try any underhanded business. Right? Democrats are constantly going and finding new ways to change rules and change laws to benefit themselves. Instead of trying to win the argument, they try to change procedure to outmaneuver Republicans. We're playing 2 different games here. You got Republicans getting out there on podcasts and on national television trying to give people logic and win the argument over, while Democrats, they just sputter out garbled nonsense like what Kamala Harris does. And then what they do, they go in the background, get a bunch of lawyers together and say, hey, let's do this. Let's change these rules to benefit us because, well, yeah, more of our people will vote by mail. So let's change this rule to benefit us so we can get more people to vote by mail. Let's send Democrat activists, hordes of them out there to Democrat residences, tell them don't go to Republican residences, tell them to only go to Democrat residences, to get people to vote by mail. Harass them if you've got to. That's what they did in 2020. However, Time magazine spilt the freaking beans. So now we know about the shadow campaign. Now we know about what is actually going on in this country. What Democrats do to win elections. Otherwise, they would never win elections because they have no arguments, folks. Like, Abortion, that's it. And I don't understand that one whatsoever. I can almost assure you, though, but it's their manipulative language that I think is the thing. But I can almost assure you that you go to anybody and everybody, the vast majority of Americans would agree that abortions in the third and even second trimester is a bad thing. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. But they'll get out there and advocate for a woman's right to choose. Yeah, you already made that choice. I'm not trying to get off on some abortion topic, but you know what I mean by this. Like, they just manipulate everything, and now they're acting all surprised, like, oh, the GOP's gonna file for, oh, they're gonna challenge the election. Yeah, get off yourself. Among the new hires is Joshua Finlay, a former Trump campaign attorney who previously engaged in discussions about the fake elector strategy in Georgia. About the alternate elector strategy, you mean? It's not fake. There's by no means fake electors. The state legislature has to put those electors together, so they're not fake. By no means. His role will involve advising GOP members on election law as they deploy election observers in key battleground states. Another notable hire is Thomas Lane, who acted as backup fake elector in Arizona and will lead the committee's investigation into election processes. There you go. Like, oh, he's a backup fake elector. No, I'm sorry, God. Come on, you people. Like, they are so deranged about this whole 2020 election thing. It's insane. They even ask people, get this, like, in what world does this make any sense? Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? Like, in what world does that question, 4 years later, make any sense whatsoever? But that doesn't stop people like Jake Tapper, Dana Bash, MSNBC people asking Republicans this question. That's a ridiculous, stupid question, and people don't care anymore. All that is left-wing news media pandering to the extreme left. That's all they're doing with that. Because it makes them look stupid to anybody who's trying to view this through an unbiased lens. That's a dumb question. It really is. I know they say there's not many dumb questions out there, but that really is a dumb question. There are dumb questions, as a matter of fact. The committee has been actively collaborating with groups aligned with Trump, including the Republican National Committee and the Election Integrity Network, raising concerns about the potential for partisan manipulation in overseeing election integrity. Oh, heavens me! You got Republicans conspiring with other Republicans. What are you saying here? Of course Republicans are going to put Republicans in. Like, would they put Democrats? I mean, do you really expect them to put the opposition in charge of... No. Sorry. That's just a ridiculous notion. A spokesperson for the committee stated that Chairman Brian Steele is focused on strengthening election integrity and boosting public confidence. These hirings come as the GOP seeks to amplify its messaging around alleged electoral fraud. Finlay, who communicated with Trump's legal team regarding the fake elector strategy, has publicly acknowledged the lack of evidence supporting claims of widespread fraud in Georgia. Yes, that's because we found out after the fact. Yeah, come on now. There was some fraud, but most of it was because Democrats changed procedure, they changed laws, and in some cases, without the approval of the state legislature, which it goes against the Constitution, so Democrats violated the Constitution to win the 2020 election. Yeah, it wasn't fraud that lost for Donald Trump. It was Democrats violating the Constitution is why Trump lost. And I think that should be litigated outright. Just outright. His involvement in the committee signals a potential strategy to perpetuate disinformation about the electoral process. Oh, there we go. Disinformation about the electoral process. Right. That's speculation, corporate press. Now they're just speculating about underhanded, untoward things that the GOP could be doing. As the January 6, 2025 certification of electoral votes approaches, the implications of these hires are profound. Not really. They're not profound. Think about this for a second. Republicans hiring Republicans to do jobs because Republicans are in charge. How profound is that? They're just mad and just whinging because Republicans are actually hiring Republicans and they're not hiring Democrats to do these jobs. That makes sense to me. When Democrats actively undermine the Constitution to win elections, for God's sakes, they won't count votes after Election Day. That violates the Constitution as well. But then they'll get out there and tell you, oh, but that's voter suppression. We need to count all of these votes. Yeah, but if they're invalid votes, if they're not legal votes, we can't count those. If you lose chains of custody on any mail-in ballots, those should be just thrown out immediately. Like, we need security in the election, especially when we have people out there in this world who don't care about rules, that don't care about laws, and they just don't want a fascist to win. And I'm talking about on both sides. Because I saw a poll that, half of Americans, like I talked about in my last videos, 49% of Americans think Trump's a fascist. But I didn't talk about the 30% of Republicans that think Kamala Harris is a fascist. So, just because it's not Democratic election officials or Democratic politicians, regardless, committing fraud doesn't mean that Democratic voters won't try to commit fraud. Get off of your high horses here and stick to the Constitution. I mean, that's the whole reason it was put in place. We can't just suspend the Constitution because we have a feeling that, we don't want voters suppressed. We can't suspend integrity for the sake of emotions, for crying out loud. These people make no sense with their arguments. It's just completely illogical. If you lose the chain of custody on a box of ballots, on an entire state's worth of ballots, I'm sorry, that should be thrown out. If it's too many, if you think, you're suppressing voters, hold another election, for crying out loud. Do that. But don't lose the chain of custody on all of those ballots, because, it's just insane to think that these people don't care about our election integrity whatsoever. And they'll get out there and yell and scream about, it's voter suppression. With Steele potentially leading this critical event, the panel's influence over the electoral process is expected to be substantial. GOP sources suggest that the committee's role will be crucial in guiding the narrative around the election results. Additionally, Steele is intensifying the committee's investigation into Act Blue, a Democratic fundraising platform, further entrenching partisan divisions with the committee. Do you guys know anything about the Act Blue investigation that's going on right now? Yeah, they're not going to mention this whatsoever. And then they're going to go on to say that it's further entrenching partisan divisions. You're damned right it is. When we find evidence, significant evidence, of money laundering through a partisan political super PAC, I think there's some problems there. But they didn't mention that they're taking money and funneling into Act Blue, and then using some of their actual donors as the laundry machine, if you will. I don't know what else really to call it, but they're taking people that actually donated and then using their names to donate hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's insane. It's quite insane, right? James O'Keefe with OMG Media went and investigated some of this and found significant reports. He went to these people's house and with a list of all their donations, and these people were blown the freak away with some of their donations. Because some of these people on paper were donating 4 and 5 times a day to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It's just nuts. And there is thousands of these names. Thousands of these people. Yeah. And they're saying that's further entrenching partisan divisions. Yeah, rightly so. The focus on Act Blue has sparked questions about the motives behind the GOP's election oversight efforts, with accusations of one-sided approach to election integrity. Yeah, when you got Democrats laundering money through their political PACs, yeah, I agree with that. As the political landscape evolves, the House Administration Committee's actions are poised to impact the integrity of the electoral process, raising alarms among critics who fear a repeat of the divisive tactics that characterized the aftermath of the 2020 election. You're damned right. You're damned right. When you guys have to cheat to win and then tell Republicans what you're doing, like, you really expect them to do nothing about it? Like, this is what I would love to ask these people over at the Daily Boulder. Do you really expect Republicans, after reading about the shadow campaign, to just sit back and allow Democrats to steal elections? No, I'm sorry. They're going to do anything and everything they can to try to stop Democrats from changing the procedure illegally to benefit themselves. You want to change procedure? Go right ahead. But we're going to do the same exact thing. And don't be mad when you lose. Don't be mad about it. Don't be mad whatsoever. It's just nuts with these people. This one-sided partisan garbage. And then they're railing at Republicans for being partisan. Like, come on, man. Get off of your freaking high horse here. And wake up and see exactly what Democrats are doing to this country. They're destroying this country with their progressivism. It's garbage. They're pushing way too far, way too fast. And it's damaging this nation. That's undeniable, as a matter of fact. Unfreaking deniable. Some of it's unbelievable, if you will. It's just crazy, y'all. It's just crazy. And look, I got another instance I'm going to show you guys right quick. I ain't going to cover this whole thing because we're running kind of long here, and I try to keep my videos to about 20 minutes. But check this out. A judge orders Virginia to restore 1,600 voter registrations purged ahead of the election. Now, that's a lie. It wasn't purged. It was individualized. Like, we went over this. The only reason I showed you guys that headline is because we covered this story a little while back. Glenn Youngkin in Virginia, they cleaned off registrations where the people checked a box. They said they were non-citizens. So they removed non-citizens from the voter rolls. And now, guess what? A Biden-appointed federal judge is making them put it back on. Put these people back on the voter rolls. And they're just telling them, oh, don't worry. It's illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. Why are you giving them access to vote in the first place? Like, this makes no sense whatsoever. None. And I can't believe, I can believe it. Once again, like we've been going over, Democrats, they will do anything and everything they can to win elections. If it means allowing non-citizens on the voter rolls, because there's no backup, there's no way to really go in unless you audit the entire election to check and see if these people voted. You got to audit that election outright. You got to go through everything, cross-reference every single name with citizenship records to do that. You know how long it would take to get the results of that? I imagine that would take a while. But I don't doubt that Republicans are absolutely going to do this, considering the fact that Democrats have used significant resources to sue states to keep non-citizens on the voter rolls. And they're getting mad about integrity? These people are nuts, y'all, but don't let these people fool you. They are not the good guys. I can assure you of that. Based upon what I've read, Democrats are breaking the law this election cycle. They are absolutely breaking the law. You know what? Screw it. I'll go over it right quick. Who cares? A federal judge on Friday ordered Virginia to restore more than 1,600 voter registrations that she said were illegally purged in the last 2 months in an effort to stop non-citizens from voting. U.S. District Judge Patricia Giles granted an injunction request brought against Virginia election officials by the Justice Department, which claimed the voter registrations were wrongly canceled during a 90-day quiet period ahead of the November election that restricts states from making large-scale changes to their voter rolls. Yeah. We've already went over this was individualized, so this wasn't a purge process. State officials say they will appeal. The ruling also prompted criticism from former President Donald Trump, who posted on social media that the ruling is a totally unacceptable travesty. Only U.S. citizens should be allowed to vote, Trump wrote. In issuing her ruling Friday, Giles bristled at the suggestion she was restoring the voting rights of non-citizens. She said the state lacked proof that the purged voters were non-citizens, but went ahead and canceled their registrations anyway in violation of federal law. You know what? What do you mean there was no proof? They ticked a box that said they were non-citizens, lady. Jesus Christ, these people are insane. The Justice Department and private groups included the League of Women Voters said many of the 1,600 voters whose registrations were canceled were in fact citizens whose registrations were canceled because of bureaucratic errors or simple mistakes like a mischecked box on a form. So, yes, if they're stupid enough to check the wrong box, to check a box that says you're a non-citizen, you deserve to be purged from the voter rolls. I'm sorry. And how about that Kamala Harris answer? Sorry. 1,600 voter whose registrations were canceled were in fact citizens whose registrations were canceled. Damn. Even the corporate press is doing it right now. I guess they're doing it to make it look more normal to repeat yourself while you're trying to answer a question. Because answering questions is something that you have to do when you're answering a question. The Justice Department lawyer Sajal Havari said during an all-day injunction hearing Thursday in Alexandria, Virginia, that's precisely why federal law prevents states from implementing systematic changes to the voter rolls in the 90 days before an election to prevent the harm of having eligible voters removed in a period where it's hard to remedy. Giles said Friday that the state is not completely prohibited from removing non-citizens from the voter rolls during the 90-day quiet period, but that it must do so on an individualized basis rather than the automated systematic program employed by the state. Yeah, Glenn Youngkin came out and said this was individualized, as a matter of fact. State officials argued unsuccessfully that the canceled registrations followed careful procedures that targeted people who explicitly identified themselves as non-citizens to the Department of Motor Vehicles. How more individualized do you need to get, Judge? Like, seriously. They only went after people that checked a box that said they're non-citizens. What more proof do you need? Then, once again, we covered that video. Glenn Youngkin gave these people 3 chances to verify that they are citizens and get put back on the voter rolls. It's insane, y'all. Outright insane. I mean, Democrats filling up the judiciary are still activists, y'all. I'm sorry, it took me... I couldn't get that quite out just right. Charles Cooper, a lawyer for the state, said during arguments Thursday that the federal law was never intended to provide protections to non-citizens who, by definition, can't vote in federal elections. Congress couldn't possibly have intended to prevent the removal of persons who were never eligible to vote in the first place, Cooper argued. Like, come on, seriously, what are we doing in this country when we're worried about the civil rights of non-citizens, for crying out loud? These people, once again, like I said, if you're dumb enough to check a box that says you're a non-citizen, you really don't deserve to vote. To be honest with you. It's just insane. Like, hopefully, these people aren't going to vote anyway. Because they're kind of stupid people. Right? If you're going to tick a box that says non-citizen. That's ridiculous, y'all. That's just ridiculous. I see why they were taken off. Once again, he also gave them the option to get put back on the voter rolls. But no, we got to get the federal judge. Right, like, get this, y'all. Get this. Imagine this. The federal government using taxpayer dollars, your dollars, to sue Virginia. So the citizens of Virginia are getting double dipped because now Virginia has to use taxpayer dollars to fight this in court. But using your taxpayer dollars to keep non-citizens on the voter rolls when they're not supposed to vote anyway. How much sense does that make? Tells you everything you need to know about the Biden administration, don't it? It's ridiculous, folks. It is outright ridiculous. And then the corporate press want us to think that the reason the Biden administration is bringing all these people in is not to get them to vote. When they bringing all these people in and registering these people to vote, are we supposed to believe that's not the reason? Like, seriously, they call it a crazy conspiracy theory that Democrats are bringing these people in just to get them to vote. Well, then why the hell are they registering these people to vote? Like, come on, people. Use your brain. This makes no sense, but I've ran long on this one, y'all. So, I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Does this not just blow your freaking mind? Don't forget to hit that like button for me, too. And subscribe if you're new around here. Do me that big favor. Y'all try to have a good day. And stay legitical. Peace.